Hi folks, I'm Erzsebet Somogyi. I'm excited to be here and see all the good faces around. So I will talk about building high-performing teams, but first, let's set the expectations. So this talk is not about Google. It's not how Google running teams. So it's not an official statement from Google, and it's also not a fits-all recipe. So I will flash some ideas. Feel free to take them, use them, whatever fits you. And this is not research-based, but it's based on my experience in multiple industries and multiple teams. So how much is this experience or lessons learned worth? So let me try to impress those of you who still believe in titles. I started my career as an engineer in the Nordics, in a telecom company, got promoted to architect and director, started to work with people in different countries like Romania, Poland, South Korea. Joined the fintech scale-up as an engineering manager, then a CTO, Netherlands, Hungary, and then lately joined Google as an engineering manager working with people in the US, Switzerland, and Italy. But if you are more interested in results, then the teams and we were building products with increasing net promoter score, increasing customer base, building things faster and faster. We doubled the team size without the chaos growing out of control. And we stabilized infrastructure for millions of users. During that work, I was hiring people, promoting people. I got promoted. I had to let some people go and support mass layoffs, and also supported people who wanted to do a career change. So I hope that all this friendly bragging brings me enough credit. So if you say things that are a bit controversial, you can still thinking about it and considering them. So what is high performance? Here we have a slide missing as well, but then I will just talk about it. So we are doing some effort. That is becoming output. And the output is often comes in the forms of code, but it can come also with architecture decisions or agreement with something or someone, a process improvement, so it doesn't have to be code. And all that output is becoming an outcome. An outcome can be a new feature, stability improvement, some improvement of the existing feature. And that creates an impact. And that what creates happy customers. And when I talk about performance, I mean the impact and the outcome part. And I talk a bit less about the output part, because that's what matters. Happy customers is what matters, and they often don't care about how many lines of code we write or how complex the architecture we are building. They just want to have a solution for their problem. And that's why the main measure of engineering performance is happy customers. So why do we want to be happy customers? First of all, there is some genuine joy in creating something that's useful. People come back, they use the service every day, they are giving good scores, and they are also solving some of the problems they are having. But happy customers are also meaning happy stakeholders for us, especially if those stakeholders happen to check the customer metrics. Like not every stakeholder do that, but some. And even if these metrics are not totally checked, the happy customers are the foundation of the financial health of the company. So, and the financial health pays my salary. I like to get my salary. And then there are bonuses, promotions, hirings, tools, time for handling technical debt, courses, certificates, conferences. So all that is coming from this financial reality. So my equation is very simple. Happy customers means more money and more possibilities for me and the engineers. So what can we do to reach this happy customer state? We need to build the right thing. We need to build something that solves an existing problem for the customer. We need to build it fast, because the sooner a feature is reaching the market, the longer time it has to generate value for the customers. Also, there can be competitors on the market. And we need to build it right, because we will need to operate it, we will need to maintain it, we will need to create new features that must go to the market fast enough. And everything like this is very easy to put on a slide, and it's very obvious, like, of course, you must build the right thing, but doing it in practice is not obvious. So let's take a look on each element. what is the right thing to build? And once you have some ideas of what could be, do we have a common understanding within a company about what we are building? So each part of the company are building the same. When it comes to build it fast, the tools must be in place, processes must be good enough, technical debt must be kept under control. And if we want to build it right, then we need the people who have the skills and who understand the business context of the company. For example, there is a business context for a startup. They are running fast, they don't know their customers, they are before product market fit, trying to do different things, and it's naturally, everything is immature. And there are a lot of trials and failures, and there is a conscious and continuous increase in technical debt, and that's normal for that business context. On the other hand, if there is a mature product, a premium product with a lot of customers, then quality, suddenly operational quality suddenly comes up much higher in the list. So if we ask an engineer, what kind of monitoring do we need? That engineer must be aware of the business context and come with a solution that fits both the customers and the product and the actual reality of the company. And for that, we need people who understand what they are doing and motivated and skilled enough. And what goes all over this is team morale. If people are happy, then all of this goes much easier, smoother, and faster. And if people are like moderately happy, then suddenly there are glitches and there are slowdowns. So like team morale is something that goes all over the place. What is building the right thing? I advise all engineers to learn some basics of product management practices. Why is that? What do product managers do all day? Well, they talk. They talk a lot, and they talk on a good way. They are telling stories. They are getting buy-in for stakeholders. They are aligning people. So that's a very important skill, but that's not the only one why it is good to learn product practices. So first, the product that you are building is your boat. You are sitting in that and sailing the ocean. So you want to be able to check the health of that product. Are the customers happy? Are the metrics improving? Does this roadmap make sense? Also, if you are a team lead, then your team is your product. You need to create a roadmap, you need to prioritize, you need to make sure that the team is working on the most impactful thing. And if you are an engineer, then you are your product. You need to manage your stakeholders, you need to manage your timeline, and you need to be able to tell compelling stories about why the work that you are doing matters. So let's take a look at an example of a product management problem, focusing illusion. Focusing illusion happens when we are getting into one aspect of a reality so deeply that we tend to forget about the rest. For example, if there is an engineer, we often ask ourselves, is this a problem, is this not a problem? And if it's a problem, we are kind of jumping into conclusion, let's solve it. But the capacity that we are having is often much less than the number of problems that we can solve. So it's also important not just to ask, is it a problem or not a problem, but how is that problem in the stack rank of problems? One possibility for that is the customer problem stack rank. Asking the customers open questions and making sure that the problem we are solving is high enough in that stack rank. Because what's happening if we are not doing that? What is a focusing illusion for the product that you are building? If you are picking a problem from the lower end of the stack rank, then it could be that the teams are working fine, they are delivering excellent technical solutions, and they are on time, but the value we are creating is limited by the problem that was picked. If, in parallel, there is a competitor that is using the same team capacity and the same skills, but was picking a problem from the top of the list, then they are creating a bigger solution for the customer. So there is a competition between teams, not only technical skills and not only ability to deliver, but which problems are picked. And again, this sounds very trivial, because of course every every product is trying to solve the most important problem for the customer. But sometimes we are just not aware of this stack ranking, or sometimes the product is a feature factory. We are trying to squeeze out as many features as possible, as quickly as possible. And this feature list could be more impacted by the highest paid person opinion, or more impacted by some internal promotion criteria than the actual stack rank of the customer. If you happen to be in a feature factory, don't worry, don't panic yet. Because the highest paid person still can have some very good ideas about the customer, and the internal promotion criteria still can lead to some very good features. But watch out for trends, how quickly the product is gaining market, or how quickly maybe it is losing market. So it's important to watch the trends. And you as an engineer can also help here. Work together with the people who are managing the product and making this product decision. Work together from the idea phase, helping scoping. Come with solution options that are easy to implement, or at least feasible to implement. And during this discussion, you can advocate for smaller scope, you can advocate for data-informed decision, and you can help building the data infrastructure that is needed to get these metrics. Also could be that maybe you already have some data. Like you launch the new feature, you have the new API, you have some monitoring data about that, so share that within the company, because that monitoring data shows how popular that feature can be. So close the feedback loop, make the data available within the company, and make it used. What does focusing illusion mean for your team? You are working on a set of products. You are focusing in on those projects. And in the meantime, you might not notice if there is a change in the company's problem stack rank. And that could lead the team into difficult situations, especially if maybe you see that some area is rising, but you have a kind of mental block. You don't want to see because it's risky, you don't know how to deal with it, so more behaving like an ostrich. I put my head in the sand, and I don't need to worry about that project, but it is coming, these trends are coming. So to avoid that, make sure that you have a continuous understanding and updated understanding of the company's problem stack rank. Talk with people, talk with other teams, check the criteria of your skip level manager, check the measurement criteria of your organization, if such a thing is available, and work together with other teams. If you have the capacity, offer help to other teams, because then you are building connections, and then you are getting access to context information that is outside of your closest domain. It gives you chances to navigate the company better, and it also gives you chances to join new initiatives, volunteer for projects, or advocate the new ideas that are coming from your project. And what about you? What does focusing illusion mean for you? You have your project, you focus in, you deliver well, everything is fine, everything is on time, so your stakeholders are happy, getting a lot of thumbs up. And then you ask for promotion, and suddenly you start to get these mixed feedbacks, that I delivered well, why am I not promoted? So when picking a new task, or new project, or new team, it's important to be aware of this problem stack rank and be aware of your own goals. Start with your own goals, because for some people, it's learning speed, for some people, it's promotion, for other people, it's work-life balance, and it's very good if you know your own preferences. And you can't have all, you can't have everything, so have like 3 top preferences that matters to you. And then have a discussion with your manager, not only about why this project matters, because most managers will be able to tell a very good, compelling story about this project is important because it provides stability and opens new customer growth, so the story can go on. But if you also ask about the stack rank, then you get a better understanding how important this project among the team's problems or among the company's problems. In each and every team, there are tasks that just needs to be done. And it's not part of the stack ranking. And that's completely fine. So do your part, be a good teammate, deliver on those, but make sure that the set of projects that you are working on, there is something that aligns with your preferences and aligns with your goals. So again, your product is your boat. Check the health, be aware of what's happening with the product you are building. Your team is your product. You want to have impact. You want to build allyships. And you are your product. So be aware of your goals. Be aware how does it fit with the stack rank of the company. If you want to learn a bit more, I included some people, some product people who are worth to check. So now we talked about what does it mean to build the right thing. So let's check the next one. Build it fast. Tools, processes, technical depths, and here there are a lot of, this is a big topic. So we can have multiple presentations only about this. I will not go into the details because you know your platform well, much better than I do, and there are tons of articles available. So you know the drill. You are working with this every day. But if you need some inspiration, then take a look on the latest State of DevOps report. And if you need some proof, like we are fast enough, or we can be faster if we build this and that technical depth, then take a look on the DORA metrics and do some cherry picking. What I will talk about instead is the silent speed killers. These are things that can be there for weeks and months and slowing down teams, and nothing is ringing an alarm. It's not like a missing CI/CD pipeline. It's not like a low test coverage that is easier to notice, but still it's there and it's crippling or slowing down teams. Usually all of these are complex matters, so if you want to deal with them or at least improve the situation, then you need to understand the root cause. And once you have some guesses, you need to make the status visible and make the impact of the problems visible. Let's take an example. High working progress. What happens if a team has so many projects running in parallel that everyone is context switching continuously and people are not able to help each other because everyone is busy with parallel different things? This means everything slows down, people get frustrated, they are a bit left alone, and there are a lot of time wasted in context switching. Some of the root causes, maybe your team is not a real team. Maybe it's just a bunch of people working next to each other on something that's related. And for some teams, this is okay. Like especially in a consultancy team, working with different clients, it could be okay. But for many product development teams, this is a symptom of something deeper problem. So it's worth to take a look on. It could be that the team doesn't have the right processes, not aware of the working progress. People maybe are not used to work with each other. So they prefer to working solo because then they don't need to coordinate. They already have the knowledge of a certain domain. So it just feels easier to work alone. It also could be that the company has a high working progress. So there are so many company projects going around, and the team has no choice but to trying to relax and trying to juggle the different projects that are ongoing on the company level. So what can you do? If you have some ideas about the root cause for your specific team, then try to make the problem visible. A Kanban board often helps. There are columns for each stage of the development. Work is flying through or snailing through these columns, depending on how the team is progressing. And you can have a reasonable working progress limit in each column. A reasonable working progress, because if the working progress limit is too high, that things are slowing down. If it's too low, then people are stepping on each other's toes. And that's also not good. And if you want people to work together, then there must be knowledge sharing, and there must be shared ownership. The people in the team must feel that this is our service, and we take an end-to-end view on it, and we deliver everything that is needed for the service. And that takes time to build up. If the root cause is the high number of projects outside of the team, that's the most complex to handle. So what can help is working together with your peers and create a portfolio Kanban board. The portfolio Kanban board looks very similar to a team Kanban board, have columns for each stages, but instead of task, there is the company projects that are going through each stage. Because what's sometimes happening that people who make a project start decision, they get the scope of the project and they get the capacity planning of that project. But the capacity planning doesn't cover context switching cost, doesn't cover coordination cost, and it doesn't include the risk of some unforeseen things popping up. And if the more projects we are having in parallel, the higher the chance of something unforeseen popping up and then screwing up all of the capacity planning, all of the nice capacity planning. So it's good to have a work in progress limit on the company level as well, meaning people who are making this project start decision should see the already ongoing projects. What is the mess we are creating with starting yet another project? But this is difficult, so this is not trivial. It's worth to try, though. Working in silos. So what happens if there is design, there are different shades of development, there is QA, there is operations, and there are maybe specific teams for each of the domain, or people are working together in a cross-functional team, but everyone is sitting with their own piece of the service. Just focusing, I'm doing only QA, or I'm almighty Java developer, I don't make my hands dirty with testing. What happens in such cases is that there is a lot of handover. As long as the product is simple, this handover can be okay. But if the product is complex, that suddenly there is handover pain, suddenly there is ping-pong between teams, we found the bug, we can't reproduce, it works for me. But it's still a bug in production. What are you doing? You are configured wrong. So then it goes back and forth, and a lot of time is wasted. So what can be done instead is having real cross-functional teams. People from different domains, products, design, back-end developers, front-end developers, QA people, DevOps, working together in one team. And this is when all this handover pain is disappearing. This team can be responsible for a sub-product or a part of the customer journey. They should be free to act within that domain, but they also have a full responsibility. The features must work, they must come to the market with a reasonable amount of bugs, and the operational stability should be good for that specific subdomain. If a new idea or new feature is coming, suddenly all types of aspects are popping up. How do we develop this? How do we design this? How will we test this? How will we operate this feature? So instead of facing these problems at the end of the process, suddenly the questions are being asked early in the idea phase. If you are thinking about having cross-functional teams, take it gradually, because there could be resistance both from the engineers that don't want to have ownership, don't want to have end-to-end ownership of something, and there could be resistance from the managers. For example, if there was a manager for the QA people who is used to shuffle work around between these QA people, and now suddenly their reports are put into multiple teams that are self-organizing, that are self-running. So, wow, I have no more tasks to juggle. What should I do? I still could be a community of practice lead, someone who is helping all the QA people across the cross-functional teams and spreading the good ideas across teams. And I still could be helping my reports and supporting their growth and supporting their goals. But these are different skill sets compared to what I needed before. So this going to cross-functional teams is a change both for the engineers and both for the managers. Do it in a pace that fits the company. If you want to learn more about how teams can be organized, the team topologies is a good source. Too frequent changes. Maybe the market is turbulent, but maybe we don't have clear enough vision. Maybe there are ideas popping up all the time, and we need to handle them. And that leads to a lot of context switching, and that leads to a lot of halfway done work lying around everywhere. So what to do? Classical agile advertising, responding to change over following the plan. So if you know the change is coming, because there was a change yesterday, there was a change last week, and last month, and all the time, then plan for it. Have some periodic intake windows and a stable working period after that. For example, you could have intake every Monday. Monday morning, we take a look on what kind of requests there are, we do some prioritization, the team starts to working, and we are not disturbing them for an entire week. So if someone is coming with a request on Thursday, that is maybe not a critical operational request, so it's not that something is down, then it's much easier to ask, okay, can you wait 2 days? Because then it's Monday, then it's our intake process, then we take it in and plan it. So try to have stable periods and intake periods and schedule it in advance. Be prepared for the change. Replan and be prepared for doing this replanning all the time. What kind of frequency and how long the stable period could be, it very much depends on the company and depends on the project. So maybe 1 week, maybe 2 weeks, maybe a day, maybe a quarter. So yeah, you know your product best. If you are having multiple teams, then try to do this planning at the same time. So try to have a cadence between teams. Because if there is a dependency between 2 teams, it's much easier to discover it on Monday and plan it for both teams than in the middle of the stable period. So try to move teams together. So if you want to build it fast, you need the right tools, you need the processes, you need to keep your technical debt under control. And take a look on your own platform and find out what problems you might have in that specific platform, but also address the systematic issues that be lying around and slowing the teams down. And for that, find the root cause, make the problem visible, try to improve gradually. So we talked about building the right thing, and we talked about building it fast. So let's talk about building it right. If you want things built right, then we need people and teams who have drive and motivation, and also understand the business context of the company. They need to have the right skill, they need to have the right understanding, and they need to want doing it. And for that, mastery, autonomy, and purpose are the 3 cornerstones of drive and motivation. Mastery, people need to know what they are doing. Most of the learning should happen on the job. So projects should be exciting enough and going fast enough and have the technical quality so people can learn. If a junior developer is joining the team, then they should be able to grab some of the best practices from how the team is working. But it's also very good if there are some external ideas, some fresh thoughts that are coming outside of the team, because sometimes the team's work can be a bit monotonic. It's the same technology stack, it's the same ideas, same problems coming up all the time. So getting some external input is also very good. Each engineer must own their own learning plan. But if you are in a leadership position, you can help them. You can help that person putting in the right scope within the team. You can do a bit of friendly nudging in picking a topic. And most importantly, you can get the time budget and the money budget to do the actual learning. And that's also sometimes not trivial, depending on what kind of culture the company has. Learning from each other, that multiplies speed. But how you can learn from each other is very team-dependent and very individual. Some people like to do pair programming, other people hate to do pair programming. So you can't say that, okay, everyone should do pair programming because then it's learning and then it's spreading the capacity, spreading the knowledge. But you can do some experiment and see what works for your specific team or what works for you. But in general, like pairing is good, working on the same item, having a design review, having a code review, having knowledge sharing sessions or tech talks, hackathons, doing some peer-to-peer mentoring or peer-to-peer coaching. So these are all ways to help the growth of the team on a multiplier level. It's also very helpful if people are getting feedback And not only from the manager, and not only via the manager, but they are giving it to each other. So if someone is a team lead or a senior developer, then you can model feedback. How am I reacting when I'm receiving a feedback? Am I asking for feedback from others? And if you do that, then you can help to build up this feedback culture in your team. And for some teams, it also helps to have a format. For example, once we did so that every developer, every team member created a feedback from themselves. So people, other team members could give feedback without involving the manager. So that's a possible format, and you could see what is fitting your team. Team self-improvement. So raise your hand if you are doing or have been doing team retrospectives. Some, keep your hands up if you think they are useful, if you like them. Some, okay. Team self-organizing, team self-improving can be very good and efficient, but only if the team retrospective leads to actual improvements. If we are there talking about the improvements, then nothing is happening, then people will not be happy with the retro. So have small action items, maybe do the follow-up of the action items together with the normal work of the team. Keep it small. Keep the improvements visible to the team. Retros should be periodic and not ad hoc, otherwise the project load will eat up everything. And yeah, again, there is no one-size-fits-all, so let the team adjust the frequency and the format. Let me show you a format that I'll be doing. First step is we take a look on the action items of the last retro. Did we actually improve? Did we do what we agreed on? Did it help? Sometimes yes, sometimes no. Sometimes we want to continue things or do something differently because we tried it and it didn't work. And then people put up some ideas into what went well and what didn't go well. We talk about the ideas, we consolidate because sometimes people are talking about the same thing. And then we vote, 3 votes in the what went well, or depending on how many items there are, like 2 + 2, 3 + 3. And I prefer to pick 1 from each column. 1 on the what went well, because we want to preserve something. We want to continue doing something. And 1 item from the what didn't go well column, because we want to improve something. Not more, because if we are picking more, then we will end up so many action items that nothing will done. So pick 1 thing, fix it, between the retros already, so it should be visible by the next retro, and move on. And the last part is team achievements and thank you notes, and that's my favorite part of the retro. Because then you show what the team achieved, explicitly show what the team achieved during the last 2 weeks, for example. And the thank you note is a good way of showing appreciation, modeling behavior, and just that's a good feeling. Like, also sometimes work that is happening between 2 people and not visible for the entire of the team comes up in the thank you note. So thank you for helping me set up this development environment. This is a very good feeling. And at the end of the quarter or end of the year, this is also a good source of kind of team bragging diary, or kind of reminder of what the team has achieved during that period. Autonomy. Autonomy has 2 main pillars: competence and clarity. The person needs to be able to do the work, and we need to have an agreement on what direction we are going. So if you are in a team and you would like to get more autonomy, this is the 2 things that you need to prove. That you are able to do the work, and then you understand what we are trying to do. And this goes both ways. This goes between the engineer and the lead to communicate that and agree on that. And autonomy for teams, that mostly depends on the company culture, and company culture is often given, but you can still influence that company culture by telling good stories. like how the team succeeded, how autonomy have to move faster. So you can influence it, but it's a lot driven by the company culture. If you want to read more about autonomy, Turn the Ship Around is a book that is a good read on the topic. Purpose. If you are a lead, then you need to know the individual goals of the people. For some people, it is skill growth. For some people, it's a promotion. For some people, it is work-life balance or something else. And it's important to know because then the whole thing is becoming a kind of fun, three-dimensional puzzle. There are company goals, there are individual goals, and there are timelines and capacity planning. So you are becoming a kind of company wizard, rearranging the timeline, bending the scope, and trying to find something that clicks. Something where both the company goals and team goals are progressing, and people are working on something they want to work on. And that's very good. Then when it's both the quality and the speed are happening at a good pace, and also, but you need to know the puzzle pieces. You need to know what motivates people for that. And community. I've heard some people saying that, okay, this work, this team is a family. And I don't really agree with that because my definition of family has a permanent membership, and work teams doesn't have the permanent membership. So we are not a family. But we can still be a good community. And for that, we need to invest both into the skills and doing things together and growing together, but also the trust and the connection between people. And what works for the team, it's again very team specific. Some people have Monday coffee, some people go bouldering, some people play board games, other people play table tennis, whatever works for you. But do something regularly, because when you have this trust, when you have this connection and trust between people, and then you suddenly have a critical production incident, or there is a complex bug, or there is a complex feature, these people who are trusting each other can work together much better. So this is an investment. This team connection building is not optional and not something that should happen only outside of work hours. Yes, in work hours, use some time, be together, build that trust. So if you build it right, if you want to build things right, then you need people who have both the skills and the motivation to do the right thing. So building high-performing teams is a journey. You need to gradually improve the environment around the team. What type of problems are grabbed, how teams are organized, how projects are started, how much autonomy the team is getting. Go and build it up, work with your environment, help to change, to improve the environment around the team. And in parallel, gradually improve the team itself. Shared ownership and knowledge, learning and growing together, sharing things, helping each other, having fun together. And if you have all of this, and you work with this over a long time, then you will end up with happy engineers, happy stakeholders, and a lot of happy customers. So that's my message for you today. Feel free to cherry pick, and I'm happy to be here. So thank you for your attention.